My name is Greg Paquette, head up the clinical product development here at Central Reach, and very excited to show you this new feature set that we have. I know a lot of you have been utilizing the first version of the application. We're going to review that and talk a little bit about how we are going to make things a little easier with the new version. With the new version that's popping out, we're going to be able to do our sessions in the application as well. So very excited. Throughout the presentation, I will stop a little bit throughout, and I will check the screen for my questions here. So please don't hesitate to type a little question. I will check that out throughout the presentation and try to answer as many of those questions as possible. We are also recording this, and then afterwards we will put this recording up on our help section and in our release notes. I am going to be hovering on the PowerPoint here for a few minutes, and then I'm going to attach my phone to the computer here and show you live the application. And so let's just get started here today. I see a lot of familiar names in the crowd, and thank you so much for coming. So like I said, today we're going to be talking about CR Go version 2. This has been submitted to the app stores, and we are awaiting a release. It should be later this week, and you will be given instructions via emails, via Learn Alerts, via the Scoop. The product communication team will put out a lot of information about how to download this, how to get the newest version, what stores it will be available in. And we also have a wonderful playbook that's going to be creeping out later this week as well. So the playbook will have a lot more information than today. Today we're going to be highlighting a bunch of features, but you'll have a lot of communication around this later this week. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. So iPhone, Android, CR Go. So today's focus will first be the big picture. Our big picture here at CR is really to optimize a technician's job. They go in the field, they do not always have stable internet, they do not want to have to ask families for password, Wi-Fi passwords, etc. So we're really just trying to optimize it. We want them to be able to go into a home, go into a school, say hello, open up their phone, their tablet, and then open up the application. We want them to check in. We want them to complete their data. We want that data to be graphed all in a period of offline. We want them to be able to check out and complete signatures and then move on to the next location. So that's our big picture. Today we're going to navigate the application. I'm going to go over the application tool set, what is being released in this application. We're going to go over the differences of using it in the offline mode and the online mode, and talk about some tips for best practice. Okay, so that's our focus for today. Now, like I said, for the next few minutes, we will be on this PowerPoint, and then I will go ahead and share my screen for the actual thing. But just a few things for those users that have not spent a lot of time in the current version. The current version has a few wonderful features. You can log in, you can check your schedule, you can bounce around your schedule, you can call from that app. You can start GPS, and you can check in and check out and finalize with a signature. So we're going to review a couple of those things here first. So this first screen here, we have our login screen. You're able to enter your credentials and you're able to log into CR Go. Really cool features that you are able to set up a touch ID and a PIN code for very quick access. One thing I like to mention is that when your phone does fall asleep, or when you put that away and you have to come back in, you will have to log back into the application. That is for security purposes. So what we do recommend is to hover over your little thumbprint and set up a thumb ID, and also set up a PIN code for extra safety. Okay, so that's just our login screen, a couple new features there. Now, what is CR Go for some of our users that have not explored? Well, we have three main components, and here is just a picture of that login screen. Currently, we have the schedule, which we'll go through, and we currently have the ReachMe feature. We're adding the sessions, and like I said, it's been submitted to the app stores, and it should pop out later this week. Sessions is being added, but we already have the schedule features and the ReachMe features. Note, you must be subscribed to ReachMe in order to use it on the application, and you must be subscribed as a paying customer to our sessions, to our Learn module, for those to appear in the application. Okay, so just check your subscription, make sure that you are signed up for ReachMe if you would like to use that. And of course, if you're signed up for the data collection, you should have the sessions when this gets released. Okay, so a couple bells and whistles of the schedule for those of you that haven't explored a ton. When you go into your application, you have your schedule. It defaults to today. Okay, you're able to search. You're able to scroll through your schedule. It defaults today, but if you scroll down, it goes to tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Or if you scroll up, it goes to past days. You can change the date by using some of the top bars. Okay, and you can also use our check-in processes. Our check-in processes in the current application is where you see in the middle of the screen here, start work. Start work is really, the best practice would be you arrive at the home, arrive in the clinic, arrive at the school, and you're going to be around your supervisor, or you're going to be around that parent in the home-based session, and you're going to click start work. What that will later do is that time will carry over to your online timesheet. So the start work is a big piece of functionality that a lot of users have asked for and are currently using. Now, best practice hint. I have a few of these throughout the presentation today. The first best practice hint is we like users to set their settings to not use cellular data to sync files and data. That will use a lot of your cellular data plan, right? Better yet, you might want to just go into airplane mode. Airplane mode is probably the best and easiest way to make sure you're not utilizing all your data, okay? So that's just an insider tip there. Now, once you start work, you can actually go into the details, and the details will give you a lot more information, right? You have the description. This is from the details of your schedule, your scheduled event. You have the start time and end time. You have the phone number, and you can call that family if you need to right there. Okay, it has all your labels. So this is just a picture of all those scheduled details that are helpful when you're either on the way to a client or when you get there. Okay, now one additional great feature just to save time and to make people have the best experience in the field is if you have client sessions, the workflow would be to start work, then you click details and you start the session with that big green button right there. So when this new version comes out later this week, you will be able to navigate to your details and click start session. Now, best practice hint, having one session per client leads you to directly to that session. So some of our users over the years have made a daily data sheet or a weekly data sheet or a monthly data sheet. We like to train to have one session, one data sheet. Many reasons. Obviously right here, right, you are going to be able to just click and navigate right to it. If you have multiple sessions, you will have to filter through. Okay, so that's just a best practice tip there. Okay, now next up, once you are done with your session, you're going to stop work. Okay, so you start, you do your session, you're going to stop. From there, you will be asked if you want to finalize the appointment. The finalize button will pop up and you're going to click yes. Okay, what that really does is the start time, the data from the session, and the stop time will all carry over to the web-based platform. The start and end time will go to your scheduled event when you go to complete your appointment. Okay, and your session data, of course, and I'll explain this as we go, when you hit internet again, it will sync up and go to your learning tree. Okay, so those are some of the cool features that already exist and that are coming with the session edition. Now, when you finalize, okay, when you finalize the appointment, you'll be able to view the total time. You can edit it a little bit, and you can get a signature. Okay, so that's already a feature that's in there. That signature will go to your timesheet. Okay, now you also have the ability to write a short little note. But I want to make a very clear point here. Sessions on the web-based platform and in the application have always been separate from your timesheet. Okay, so a lot of users are always wondering, well, if I'm in the session for an hour and a half and my shift is 2 hours, do those talk to each other? Well, we have a lot of different users, a lot of different locations, environments, a lot of different rules. So it is staying the same way it's always been, is the session timers are different than the start and end time. Okay, so the start and end time goes to your timesheet, but finalizing that appointment does not graph nor end any client session. They're currently and they are staying independent of each other. Okay, so again, you can check out, you can then do your data, and you can check in, do your data, and check out, but they are independent of each other, meaning you still would want to act like you are now on the web-based platform by starting your session and ending your session. That is for data purposes, right? It's for rate timers, time sampling timers. It's for learning opportunities. It's a lot of great things, but it does not tie to your schedule. Okay, I just want to make that clear. One last item here on the schedule, right, is just an image of the current functionality, right? Again, you can finalize, collect that signature, add a little note, and that goes to the service note box in your appointment. Now, one more item before we get to the clinical functionality, okay? ReachMe. It is a wonderful, wonderful tool. It is HIPAA compliant chat. You can communicate with other employees on your team. It is wonderful and fast in the application. Paired with our session data collection, it is meant to give you all the tools. The best practice hint is that supervisors, when they're on their way, they should reach me, their therapist, tell them they're on their way. Supervisors from the office can chat them through Reach Me and tell them to avoid a certain program, tell them to run a certain program. So best practice hint, definitely subscribe to Reach Me. It'll be just so much more powerful now that it's in the format of an application. Okay. And now we're finally to sessions. I know there's a couple questions I'll get to in just a sec. So in this release later this week, you will have your session data collection. Okay. Couple images here for you. You are able to see your individual sessions for a child, for a client, when you start session through that start work, through that details from your schedule. The system will already know you're on a certain person's scheduled event. You're going to click your session and you'll see all of Matt's or all of Sally's data sheets. But you're always able to search through all your data sheets in the application as well by using the individual list, and you can search by name or by keyword. We are going to go through offline and online. The information and the data in the session auto syncs to your graphs when you're back online. So it auto syncs all your data. You do not have to push a sync to get those comments, those data points, those graphed entries back into your learning tree. We also have auto updating of sessions and session information when you open the app. So best practice is you would want to open the app at the start of your day or the start of a shift, or when you're at your house, when you're in a period of you're on Wi-Fi, you have access to the web. You're going to open that application and it's going to sync things. It's going to give you the most updated versions. Okay, so that's to start your day, to make sure that if your supervisor added a new data sheet for you, make sure that you have that, right? And then after your session, when you head back into internet, right, internet access, you head back online, you go to a Starbucks, you turn on Wi-Fi, all your information when your application is up and open will auto sync to those learning trees. We have increased speed, less clicking, more swiping and scrolling, and all sorts of new bells and whistles. Okay, so I'm going to stop and answer just a couple questions, and then I'm going to connect my phone to the computer and show you around. All right, let's see. So everything is HIPAA compliant. So is this a HIPAA compliant GPS navigation through the app? So yes, what you're going to do to have the GPS work is you're going to have to put in your locations of your clients, right? And this is all HIPAA compliant, the application. So any, like I said, you have that automatic log out time. You have push notifications that do not send any information. I'll talk a lot about that. We have reminders for ungraphed data. We have reminders for time sampling, elapsing, etc. All those get push notifications but show no client information. It's just, hey, you have this in your session, or hey, you have this, your ungraphed data, but it won't say any client information. So yes, full HIPAA compliant. Does the start and end time of the session carry over to the billing? So no, I did mention that earlier. It is a confusing topic, but basically our sessions start and end time is separate from the billing. The reason being A lot of our folks that we surveyed, they do take a few minutes to get into the groove. They talk to the parents. They haven't clicked start on their session yet. So the session time is always just a little bit less. And then they, of course, end their session. They clean up. They talk to the parents. So we decided to keep those two separate. Okay. In the notes section of the app, is there any way to set a custom session note the way we do in the web platform? So Rebecca, great question there. That is a future release. I will go through a little bit of the release schedule throughout the presentation. This release is only going to be the clinical data collection, but notes and forms are on the docket. So not this release, however. And then, similar question, can clinicians fill out session notes as in a note and form? So again, Sage, not this release, but we do know that you need that, and we're working hard to finish that up. Okay. And yes, public Wi-Fi, HIPAA compliant with the app. Yes, so we can send you rules. We will send out information in the packets about how it remains HIPAA compliant. So definitely a deep topic, but it is, and we'll send out information, of course. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to mirror my phone. Let's go ahead and log in. This is the newest version here that we just submitted. Now we have our schedule. We have our ReachMe, and we have our sessions, okay? Like I mentioned, if you go to your sessions, so here's Charlie. So let me go through the schedule here first. So this is my schedule here. I can navigate up and down. All right, you see me moving around. Now, what I have is Charlie's ABA. So I'm going to start work. So this is what a therapist would do in the field. They're going to start their work. Now, yes, I'm going to allow it to access my location. So then I can go to details. All right. And what it will do is it will bring me to my details. There's Charlie. He has ABA. And notice that I can start my session there. All right. I'm going to click and start my session. Now notice we have individual sessions and we have group sessions. If I click on the group, that's one item that at the end of the presentation, I will go over, that we are not releasing the group sessions quite yet. The group sessions will be available in an upcoming release. Okay. Now, what I have here is my individual, and notice that it linked to Charlie's data sheets. Charlie has two, so it's needing me to pick one of the data sheets. All right. It's going to lead me to it, and it's going to load up. All right, perfect. Hopefully you guys can see this now. So I started my session, and here we go. Let's just jump right into this, so in case my little screen sharing acts up again. So what you have here is you have your index view, okay? Formatted perfectly for a phone, okay? So some of our user feedback over the years is, it's great on the tablet, but what about a phone? Well, now we've made it wonderful on the phone, okay? So what we're gonna do here is click from your index view and you get into your naturalistic view. So notice I have some programs, some targets. All right, I'm just going to scroll up and down real quick, and I can highlight anything I want to work on. So I have highlighted frequency, right? Frequency of vocal mands. This is a score data collection. So again, this is the net view. You can just scroll and you can click. Okay, notice me clicking there. Now I can click the one above it. I'll highlight percent correct, thumbs up. And then notice this is percent independent. So I have my trials. I'm going to click my trials. Notice it flies through. It has the 100%. It has the 83. It has the 71. It's going to decrease my score, just like on the live version, right? Your progress bar is going to fill up. I can go back and see my previous trials by clicking the back arrows. I can change my responses if I need to. I'm always going to have my phase. I'm always going to have my type of data. I can go to my eyeball view, which is a great view. I can click, open it up, and see my trials thus far. All right, and again, I can change my responses. All right, so really cool stuff there. Now, I'm going to shut that eyeball view, and I'm going to show you some details. All right, So how do we get to our details? How did we format it so you can see everything in this view? Well, all you have to do is click that little arrow in the top right of a program, click it very quickly, and then any of your notes will pop up. Okay, your instructions, of course, this is a bad one. It doesn't have any instructions. Your details, I'll show you a better one that has some. Your details with the last 3 data points. This one just happens to have 2. You can hover and click and find your score. Will pop up on your graph. Okay, you have your current phase, last graph data point, last graphed by. You have your trial activity. So everything you have on the web, on that right side of the web-based version, right, we've now put into 3 little sections here: instructions, details, and comments. The comments, again, right here, I don't have any, but it's quick, it's easy. I can add a comment here. Let me type hi. I type hi and notice that it pops up. There we go. Now going back to the target, right? I can also scroll back and keep working, okay? Now another thing that I can do is if I go back to the main view by utilizing the little 3 bars at the top left, I'm going to now see on my first page a number 1. Now that number 1 brings you to all the most recent comments. So one point of feedback that we kept getting was the comments are wonderful, but I need to look at them all. I don't need to go searching for them, right? So now we have the comments in one little area, and all the comments across programs would be housed right there. Okay, just now I said hi on what branch? That one. Okay, so notice also when you're back in your index view, we've made it so the ones that you're highlighted currently from the other view, it tells you what program it came from, right? So frequency of vocal mands came from a program called Manding Vocally. If I want a little more information, I can go to my tree view, and all I do is I click tree view, and it breaks it up very similar, obviously, to your learning tree. Okay, so I have all my different things. I have a bunch of different targets under the Manding Vocally, which is under the program of Manding for wanted items. Okay, I can look at my behaviors. I can open up my replacement behaviors. And it's very helpful to find out where things come from. Okay, so let me click FCR, I need space, and I'll navigate right here. Notice this one was a pinned view program. So I clicked it and my pinned view opened. I can shut my pinned view by simply swiping it down. It'll disappear. I can pop open my pinned view. Okay. I can scroll across the bottom with my thumb, and anything you have in the pinned view and any rules that follow from the site. So we have certain rules, right? We say start our rate timers upon session timer starting. That carries over, right? We have the graph zeros automatically. Those things will be pre-checked off in your graph all button. So the rules are the same. It's just a little bit of a look and a feel difference. So look here, I'm adding some items to my rate. And some users have asked me, I've showed a few users, how do you get your instructions for the pinned items? Well, those 3 little dots right next to rate of hitting, right? And as I scroll, frequency of tantrums, there's always 3 little dots, and those dots are how you can open the instructions, for graphing the target, which I'll go over in a minute, the details, right? And the commenting. So you always have that. We have a really cool feature for those of you that really enjoy the pinned view and sometimes have to collect data on a lot of programs at once, right? A lot of behaviors at once. You can scroll your pinned view up. So what I did was I just scrolled up, and now I have all my behaviors in a very clean looking screen, okay? And note, you can also use skill acquisition in the pinned view. I'm on trial 4 now, okay? And let's just close that up, pop it down, put it away. All right, so I'm back to my net view. Okay, and it is incredibly quick. I am clicking very slowly just to make sure I don't lose you guys, and I'm able to, to click everything I need to. All right, now I'm going back to my index view. Perfect, just to get my bearings here, show you a few other things. Okay, let's actually go back to, let's just do this frequency of Manding again. Okay, now what you have here is it's highlighted blue. That's the one you're on. But watch what I do to Manding Cup. One other piece of feedback that our users gave us on the web version is you kind of had to click into it and then double click, right? So if I wanted to just say that trial 1 was independent, I would have to highlight and click. But I don't have to anymore. I don't have to do a double click. I simply can touch the IND or whatever, right? And then it scores that and then changes the color. Okay, so very quick. Now, a couple awesome new features utilizing the swipe right and the swipe left functionality. So if I swipe right, watch what comes out, and I'm holding it down really quick. I could swipe right and I could add a comment just from there. Or I can swipe left and watch this. My graph button comes out. So in the web version, you had to open up the details, you then had to click graph and go back, right? Here, I'm just gonna swipe it all with my hand and it turns green and it's graphed, okay? Now, why would I want to do that? Well, maybe not with the frequency program, but what about a task analysis program, right? Or a certain amount of trials. You always want comparable data, maybe 10 trials of a program or 5 trials, but you want to do different sets, right? So a score, a rating scale, you sometimes want to do it again, right? And so it's a very quick and easy way. I'll do it to the Manding Cup and watch it turn green. There we go. And I can click to look at the details. Oh, here's one that has some good details. So this is what the instructions really would look like if you actually wrote something, okay? So instructional notes from that program, right? My SD, my correct response, my teaching instructions, okay? And then I have my details. And notice, May 21st at 1:35 p.m., okay? So that's how quick it graphs. Now, I'll explain a little bit now and again at the end, but if you're in offline mode, okay, if you're in offline mode, it would still turn green. It would still show you on the graph, but you won't see it immediately in the learning tree until you're online and sync, okay? Now, again, it's auto sync, but if I have airplane mode on right now, which I don't, right? But if I did, I could do all this. I get the visual representation that, yeah, I graphed, right? But then when it syncs, and that's very helpful for the therapist, right? Sometimes they need to run a program more than once. I get that visual representation, and then once it syncs to online, it will update in the learning tree, okay? Now, a couple other things. When you're on this view, okay, you see that you have a video camera up top. And that's one last bell and whistle that we're finalizing right now so that when it actually is available in those app stores, it works perfectly. So that's in the final stages of development. But what that video camera does is you will open it up, you'll take a clip, you'll stop it, okay? And then you'll be prompted, what is the resource name, right? Then you'll be prompted, who do you want to share it with? And anyone that is in that individual's network would pop up just like on the site, okay? Then you will save it and you will get a notice that says, depending on the size of the video, it will take X amount of hours to load. But that will also sync up into your file cabinet, into your resource module. Okay, I do have a couple questions, so I'm just gonna stop real quick. Let's see. Can you give an estimate of how long it would take to sync 2 to 3 sessions from the app and 2 to 3 updated data sheets to the app? It syncs immediately. So when I say immediately, if I make an update online, right, I make an update to my learning tree, a phase changes occurs, I take something off, put something on. When I open up my app and I check those 3 sessions, those will be updated. Okay. Are there any reminders to sync the data? Yes, there are reminders. I will tell you that in just a second. Does the data collected in offline mode become auto-synced when app is back online, or does it have to be done manually? 100% automatic, Andy. So great question there. So if I am done with this session right now and I'm offline, I just go home, right? I do have to open up my app to have it sync though. Okay, so my app does have to be open for the data to sync. Okay. Will that video option have a permission attached? So Sherry, great question. The permissions follow suit with the online permissions. So if they're not able to upload files, right, that permission should stay. If they are able to upload files or share, then that should stay as well. The other things that are in that area, right, if I share it, if I upload a file, and it's a resource for client Barry, right? And I have auto sharing of files, those rules apply, meaning I don't have to do that manually. I don't have to share it with someone that already has auto sharing. Okay, let's see. All right, it only saves in the application, Monica. Great question. Using the camera, it only saves in the application. And Abraham, great question about ABC. That is coming very soon. We had to push this out the door. I'll let you know what is not in the application very shortly. Okay, let's graph this and I'll show you a couple more bells and whistles as well. All right, if I graph, okay, what it does is it tells me, of course, the data that I have collected, tells me the targets with no data collected, right? And of course, the setting where you want to graph zeros automatically, you can set that up. This one, I did not happen to have that, but that would be set up. And then of course, the same functionality as online, targets that cannot be graphed yet, right? I haven't done any trials, so I cannot. All right, let's graph all. All right, so I can graph all, and then I can end my session. Same functionality as online with a couple bells and whistles coming soon. Okay, and I'll explain that very shortly. All right, now let's get out of there. Okay, let's search for something. Let's do this one. See if I have this. All right, cool. Let me open up a new data sheet for us. Now notice one new feature. It's a little different than the online version. You don't have to say Barry and wait for Barry to pop up. You know, when you're searching in online, you have in the session folder, you search for a name, it pops up and it says created by or assigned to. Ours uses more of a keyword in the application. We wanted it extremely fast. So you just type in the first name or data or pilot or demo or anything like that, and they will pop up. So any keyword. All right. Now some other cool stuff, right? Client face page. I use this on some of my demos. This is just a resource branch. So I wanted to make sure you all knew that you can have non-data type branches. Okay. So this is a face page. It's just a branch in my book, and I like to know about the child, right? So then I can read it and I can put it away. Other things, right? Another resource with just program change log. A lot of our users put little tables, little images in their branches. And so this is just something that I can read, right? It's just, I'm just scrolling across, right? And I can read the notes. And then I can swipe to comment, okay? And I can swipe back to view, all right? So some different cool features there. Combined graphs. One cool feature is that you can look at combined graphs. Look at that. So if you ever need your folks to see these types of graphs, right? And they're very interactive, right? So in the application, I can kind of hover on and see different things, right? So I just took them away. I brought them back. That's a cool little one. All right. Let's see. I have something else here. Where is it? FCR. Where is it? FCR, I need help. Here's what an image looks like. If I am in FCR, I need help. I can click to get to my details, my description, And it's a very clear picture. So where this came from, right, and you can use this to help with presenting a stimuli or a flashcard. This is just an image of CR, of course, but just an image that is in that branches description box. I just wanted to show that you could have a nice clear image there. Okay, so I'm just showing you some other bells and whistles here. Okay, let's see, one more type. Form type branches. Some of our users use little session notes or forms, and I see a couple of my agencies that I used to work with on here that used form types. So I have a little example. Someone asked about ABC, and we are going to get ABC out here, but this is a little bit different. It says ABC, but it's really a form type branch, right? What is your antecedent, right? What is your behavior? And I can just click, and I'm able to update my answer. Okay, and I'm just going to type random stuff here. Okay, what is your behavior? Kicking, right? Little check boxes. Okay, I scroll a little bit. Consequence, right? Yes, no, right? I just have some nonsense here, but really just to show you the functionality of some of those different features, right? The images, the combined graph, the form type branches. Okay, now a couple other things to go over with you. So let's see if this has a time sampling, okay? Because I like to go over this. I'm going to open my pinned view. All right, my pinned view is on the bottom here. I should have a time sampling to show you. I have a frequency. I have a duration of tantrum. I will show you this actually. When I'm taking duration data or frequency data, I can obviously let the timer go for duration. I'm going to stop that, okay? And I want to then say, oh man, it's not 8 seconds, right? It's more like 9 seconds or 10 seconds or 1 minute and 10 seconds. So we also have the feature where you can plug in your own time, okay? There we go. Now let's find a partial interval. Okay, so here's a partial interval. Now if I were to leave the application, okay, we have a really cool feature where it will beep at you even if you're outside the application, okay? You also, if you've closed your phone and you've kind of just locked it, you will also get a beep and a push notification on your home screen that says a time sampling has elapsed, and when you click it and you put in your little thumbprint, it will bring you right back there so that you can score that occurrence or non-occurrence during that interval, okay? Another great thing that we did, a little bit different than the online version, but if you leave, right, you are going to play outside, you are going to run a social skills, something like that. And what mine, I actually have mine set to vibrate. So I don't know if you noticed that, but it vibrated in my hand right there. Of course, you can set it to beeping as well. Okay. But another really cool part is that the timers still run. The main timer and your rate timers still run if you are outside of the application, if you've left it and then come back in. So it's a more accurate timer. Okay, other cool things. If I don't graph my data, okay, so we've talked a little bit about how to graph. You can swipe, okay, and notice I just tried to swipe and it said you cannot graph this item now. Hint, try to enter some data, right, in the current item. It's telling me I haven't met a minimum or I cannot graph it. Okay, so that's a cool hint. But let's say I didn't graph and I leave the application. You will get push notifications when you hit, you will get push notifications that say you have ungraphed data. And again, when you click back into it, it does not say any client information, but you click back into it, log in with your thumbprint or your PIN code, and it brings you to that data sheet. Okay, all right, so that is a few of the things there. Let me see if I've missed anything. I'm going to go back over here, and then I'm going to show you something for offline. Okay, so real quick, and then I'll get to some questions. So this is just me. I've searched for pilot. As you see, I have a keyword pilot. 2 came up. Notice that little in BB Bonds, you have a little cloud right there. Okay, a little cloud. That means that offline is enabled. Okay, so what I want to do, best practice when moving from offline data, or moving or working in a period of offline, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to enable all your kids that you work with frequently, all the individuals that you work with frequently, so that they're always going to get updated. They're always going to be synced. They're always going to have the most updated version. What I mean by that is if I work with Charlie, I want to just swipe, and I'm going to hold it steady for a minute. I'm going to enable offline, okay? And there's like a 3-second delay here. I'm swiping, and I'm going to enable offline. And look what happened. Now it has that symbol. What that means is those are always going to be updated, okay? So if I have Barry, Charlie, Sally, and John, I swipe once, right? And now my supervisor makes changes all the time. There's things auto progressing. There's, phase changes, etc., that are happening behind the scenes, right? But when I open my app each day, I'm going to be able to work offline with those kiddos and still have the most updated version. Okay, I hope that makes sense there. All right, let me take a couple questions here real quick. Can we still collect ABC data? I answered that one. That is a feature that's coming out for the ABC data. Can we implement a preset template? So Andy, great question. You are always able to have a preset template for ABC if you subscribe to the ABC feature. It's just not on this version of the application. Okay, I'll kind of lay out a timeline shortly here. Let's see, in the form that I had ABC data collection, in the form that I had ABC data collection, are there small character limits? The character limits of the application are the same as the online version. So remember, just online rules carry over to the application. Audio has been lost. Well, I hope I'm back. Can the BT level staff activate offline feature? Yes, if you allow them to download the application, it is a free application, so if they have access to a session, they do have access to swipe it offline, and one time is needed. That's it. So best practice, best tip, any new kid, any new individual that you're working with, swipe it once and you'll be all set. Currently use mobile on my iPad. Are you recommending I now use offline to save on my time? So we recommend, if you have Wi-Fi, and you are going to still have to use the web-based platform for some features of CR, right? You're going to have to do that to finish your timesheet. You're going to have to use the web-based platform for a note in a form, right? So if you have reliable Wi-Fi, it's not been a problem, you love the current setup, then stick with it. The application is incredible because you can use it offline. You don't need to worry. You go into the community. You don't have to ask a family, and it's quick. Obviously, I was doing it so slow today to show you everything, but it is very quick to use the application. Okay. Let's see. Can supervisors disable certain features from BTs? Again, if they don't want a BT to utilize this, they could block them from using sessions. But if they do enable session use on the web platform, then they also have session use in the application. Okay, so real quick, I'm back to my little screen here, right? This was my visit. I would have started my work. Oh, it was a slight delay, but I would have started my work with Charlie. I would have done my data, right? And then I would have come back after here and stopped my work, okay? And this is current functionality, but we think it's just that much stronger having that data collection paired with it, right? So you finalize the appointment, right? That was at 11 seconds. You're going to have someone sign, right? You're going to add notes if you need to in the top right corner, and you're going to complete. Okay, you're going to complete. So that is work completed. If I went online right now, right, or if I was working online in the application and I went to my learning tree, I would see the data. If I was working online in the application and I went to my timesheets, I would see my data. If I was working offline, what needs to happen for your timesheet to update, your signature to be input, your data to be hitting your graphs. What needs to happen is, of course, take yourself out of airplane mode. If you're using cellular data, it'll sync right then. If you're not using cellular, right, if you have your settings set up, I can click my top bar, I can go to my settings, I can turn off cellular data. Slight delay on the screen, but I could go into settings right there, turn off cellular, and then it would need Wi-Fi, okay? So Wi-Fi would need to be hit to have your graph data hit your learning tree, your comments hit your learning tree, your times to hit your timesheet, okay? All right, so let's do this. I'm gonna hop to the presentation again real quick. Let's flip through some of this real quick, and then I'll answer a couple more questions. All right, cool. So we talked a little bit about offline mode. You would want to enable, right, your typical client sessions. One time, enable that. Okay, in settings, again, this is what I hinted at. You can turn on or off your cellular data. Okay, that's just so you don't use it all. Okay, and you can limit storage as well. All right. Okay, so a couple things. Items coming in feature releases. So what I showed you today, I had to bounce around a good bit, showed you all the bells and whistles. I think I showed most of them, okay? Now, the things that are not in this release on Friday, okay? We have ABC data collection that a lot of our users subscribe to. We wanted to get this out. We are finishing up the ABC data collection. So that is coming in a future release. Criteria advancement within session. Okay, so criterion advancement. Now, of course, I want to just be very clear. If I end my day and my data is graphed, if something is hitting a maintenance schedule, okay, or if something is auto progressing to that session, or if I moved from baseline to intervention, the next person that comes in, right, they're going to open their app in a period of online, they're going to sync, right? It's automatic, right? It is going to update that data sheet. So criteria advancement works between sessions right now with this release, but we're adding a feature to make it within a session, okay? So that should be out very shortly. We're just putting our finishing touches. So when you're in a period of online access with the application, you should have automatic phase advancement, meaning if you hit a certain prompt level in a future release very shortly, however, will update your criterion, will update your data sheet. Okay. We also are adding session summary in a future application release. And then, like I mentioned, we're updating our group session capability to be in the application. Okay. So our goal is long-term use, which has to do with some of the questions that I see now. So our goal for Central Reach is we want to be able to hand an RBT or another technician, another therapist, their application, and we want them to do their entire daily job duties offline. And we're halfway there, right? More than halfway there. They're able to check in. They're going to be able to run their session after this release this week. They're able to get a signature, right? Now, the next release, right, and I will, when we pass out the playbook, we'll probably have a little more information about when these are, but the conversion will be next, okay? The conversion process, meaning the actual saving of the timesheet. That will be the next feature release, okay? Note writing, the note and form, that will be after the conversion process, okay? So just to kind of rehash, we have a few outstanding clinical features that we're going to be adding very shortly here, okay? While we're adding those, right, in a couple months, right, in a little while, you'll have the conversion process, and then future release, you'll have the note and form, and we will be able to give some deadlines of those very, very shortly, okay? All right, so I will answer a couple questions and then we're about out of time. Let's see, storage size. We will put some recommendations for storage size in our release notes. Okay, Rebecca, great question. It's a broad topic, but we'll put some recommendations of storage size on our playbook that we release. Okay, and then let's see, for offline mode, does your data have to be off or in airplane mode, or can you have it set as offline mode with data on as a buffer? in incidents when internet service is interrupted? Okay, so great question. You have a few choices, right? So you can set up for your it's basically in your application settings. You can tell the system what to do. Do you want to use cellular? Do you have to use Wi-Fi? You're going to have some settings. So that's also in our playbook with a lot of explanation on the offline capabilities. Android and Apple compatible? Yes, ma'am. So the Android, yes, the Play Store, Amazon Store, and the iOS Store. Let's see. And yes, we will be able to access this presentation. After it's over, I will be obviously changing it into an MP4, and I will be sending that out after. If you did register and you're here, you will get that video, and we'll also be posting it on our help section and on our page for our release notes. Catherine, great question. Can you enter events that show up on graphs? So not currently. So we on the web-based version, you are not able to enter phase changes manually or events manually, and on the application, you're not as well. So it's more that direct data. All right. So thank you so much for your time here today, guys. Look out for the release notes. You will get a lot of communication, like I mentioned, later this week with an estimated arrival by Friday. Obviously, things can change, but we will send out a lot of release notes. If you're interested in learning more, I'm always available. gpaquette@centralreach.com. Okay, if you're a prospect or a new customer, maybe that is newer to Central Reach or not with Central Reach, please reach out for any sales inquiries. Okay, and if you're a current practice management customer and want to take a peek, please let me know as well. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for all the questions, and get excited. It is going to be amazing. Thank you so much. Have a great day.